Good afternoon and happy Sunday, everyone. Welcome to the Tiny Note Tuesday recap. Today we will be recapping everything that came out in the February issue of the Tiny Note Tuesday newsletter. If you would like to subscribe and haven't already, there is a link below. It is a monthly free newsletter which arrives in your email the last Tuesday of every month, and there's always a feature regulatory topic in it. So any topic that's been trending, any topic that is of interest or seems to be relevant in industry that month, there's an article on that. The second section talks about, it's a segment about educating yourself. So it's any resource that I've encountered the month prior, which helped in educating myself on a particular regulatory topic, which I think would be useful to industry as well. I included there with a little bit of a description. And it's always focused on regulatory in the areas of pharmaceuticals, food, nutritional, chemical, and medical device industries. So if you're in one of those industries, you may benefit from the newsletter. And the last two segments discuss anything new that's in the practice, as well as anything new with me personally, so that you can get to know me outside of work as well. So I'll get to the newsletter in a second. A few housekeeping items. Remember to spring forward 1 hour if you haven't already. Yes, that means Monday is coming a little bit faster, but I happen to really like Mondays, so I don't mind. And the other thing is, I was reminded of it today. I forgot that it was Sunday, and I ended up going to the supermarket, and then I remembered why I don't go to the supermarket on Sundays. I avoid it as much as possible because I ended up getting stuck there for an hour trying to navigate my way around all the carriages and all the people. So if you're thinking about being efficient with your time, probably not a good idea to go to the supermarket on Sunday. So lesson learned. All right, now I'm going to be looking back and forth because I'm reading off of the newsletter. I just want to make sure I capture everything for you here. So the regulatory topic is called Requests for Feedback and Meetings for Medical Device Submissions, the Q submission process. This is information that you can also find in the FDA guidance document that is titled exactly what I just read off right now. And it's a guidance document that I write about here because it seems like people don't know about this Q submission program, and it might be helpful to many of the people out there. So if you are working with medical devices and you find yourself thinking or asking things like, oh, I wish there was a way I could avoid delays and expedite my medical device application, or I wish I knew what the FDA's thoughts would be on my medical device before I put more time and resources into the idea, or I wish I could speak with the FDA to have them shed some light on my medical device. Well, all of this is possible through this Q submission process. Here, I'm going to be specifically talking about the pre-submission process, but there is a link included below where you can click on this on the link and go to the guidance document and read through all of the all of the Q submissions that are in this program. But the pre-submission, and just reading directly from the language in the guidance document, it is entirely voluntary on the part of the submitter. However, early interaction with the FDA on planned non-clinical and clinical studies and careful consideration of FDA's feedback may improve the quality of subsequent submissions, shorten total review times, and facilitate the development process for new devices. So this is something which could be a benefit to somebody who is in this position and needing some additional information. The Q submission does talk about the other types of submissions in the guidance document, as I mentioned, and just a quick note on it. Once somebody the submitter requests this submission, what happens is the FDA will provide the submitter with feedback in a form of a formal written response. The other option is they will provide this written response and follow it up with a meeting, which can be done in person or via teleconference, whatever the submitter prefers. So again, if this is something that seems like it would be beneficial to you, please read up on it a little bit more on the guidance document, which the link to is below. The section on educate yourself, I thought it would be important just to mention guidance documents as a whole as a resource to educate yourself. I've mentioned it before. I talk about guidance documents a lot, and the reason is because they've been very helpful to me even back in the day when I was starting out in regulatory. I found them to be a huge help. So anytime I want to wrap my head around anything new, any sort of a new regulation, I go to the guidance document database, which the link to is below as well, and I search the database for that particular topic to just wrap my head around and get the big picture of the regulations before I dig deeper into the actual regulations. So great starting point for anything that you want to learn about that is regulated by the FDA. The third section, what's new in the practice. So I was published in something called the Regulatory Focus. It's an online publication by the Regulatory Affairs Professional Society. And just quickly, it is the largest global organizations for those involved with regulations in areas of medical devices, pharmaceutical, biologic, nutritional, and more. You can actually access this through my LinkedIn page. So if you're not connected with me on LinkedIn, please do so. And once we are connected, under the document section, you can find this article and read up on it. It's called Communicating the Importance of Regulatory to Various Stakeholders. And it just talks about the best ways to communicate regulatory within a company, for example, to the various stakeholders who may not understand it as well as you, the regulatory professional, would. Or anyone else who understands the importance of regulatory but can't quite communicate it. This article kind of talks about what is a good way to communicate that. And then what am I up to outside of work? This is kind of work related, but it's also really cool. So my background, my undergraduate degree was chemistry and secondary education. Not many people know that about me, but my intentions initially were to teach high school chemistry. But life happened and here we are today. Instead, I am an attorney who's focused on regulatory matters in the FDA regulated industry as well as the chemical industry. So it's really a great way for me to combine both law and science. But this brings me back to this point. The original point was I became a member of the American Chemical Society, specifically the Northeast section of the American Chemical Society, and it's been so great. I mean, I get to speak with other people, such intelligent, knowledgeable people in the science community. There's other lawyers there as well, and I kind of get to talk to them as well and bounce ideas off of them and back and forth. And there's the monthly meetings, and there's always a guest speaker afterwards. So it's been great for me just with regards to networking with others in the industry, because I don't find too many people who have passions in law and science, and this is a great way for me to encounter many of them. So I found it very helpful, and yeah, so that's what I've been up to, just being a member of the group and kind of trying to get myself out there and learn a little bit more. As I mentioned all the time, I'm an eternal student, so this only helps that. That is all I have for you today. Again, if you haven't subscribed already, please do. If you want to get in contact with me on social media, I am on Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter and YouTube, because this is on YouTube, and all of the links are below. So please connect with me, and yeah, reach out if you have any questions. Take care. Bye-bye.